And last but not least, Dark. What do you have for us?
Oh boy. I have the new Idol Master series,
Yes,
which is
Idol
Cinderella
Master.
Girls
Yes.
U149.
Yes.
And
So Dark,
yeah,
Dark, and
this
I
is
are
What
yeah.
does the U149 stand for?
I think unit, right? Like unit 149 something.
I
That's
think
lame.
you is the unit, but these girls are all under 149 centimeters. Is how
Oh, okay.
why the origin, and also the
Are you
production
sure
company
it's
for.
under 149 or under 14.9?
Yeah,
No,
man.
it's
Damn.
yeah, it's I don't know if that's the thing, but also the how there's like
Actually,
usually
wait,
like a
is the
specific.
producer under 149 centimeters too?
That'd be pretty funny. No, I
Because
don't
he
think the
might be.
producer is under. But he's what is it? So usually like these series are you under like a specific like fictional quote unquote production, right? For instance, like obviously the original cast of Idolmaster characters is under 756 Productions or 765, right? Namu, cool. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
765
think it's
Productions,
765.
which is like Namuko, which is Bandai Namco, right? And this one is 346 Productions, which is Mishiro. So Mishiro is like the imperative form of the verb to charm or to captivate, right? So they're kind of making the word reference on that. But yeah, it is a spin-off, and this is sort of very easily known as the lolly spin-off of the Cinderella Girls franchise.
Yeah, also known as the better spin-off of Cinderella Girls.
This actually being I know
So
I know the original, not original, but I guess the standard um original Namco Idolmaster animation was headed by A1, right? Directly. Is this in-house Cygames Pictures?
this appears to be, yeah, in-house entirely.
Okay,
Now
okay,
it's
okay.
produced with Namco, Nippon Columbia,
Yeah. And
but
obviously they're pulling
yeah,
in
this is
subcontractors and stuff like that. But yeah.
yeah, this is in-house, which just to get it out of the way means it's kind of fucking god tier. It has some really
It
good
was
cuts.
actually really good. Yeah.
It's very solid. Its audio visuals are really, really good.
The
I guess
the,
to bang
the,
that
the
out of the
opening
way.
like had
Oh,
the opening
amazing
has so
opening.
many like yeah, it has like transformation scenes. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah,
And
there's
it draws a
a
lot from the you've seen the Automaster opening too, right? Change, right?
yeah.
It's like it draws a
That's
lot from that too.
yeah.
Mhm,
So it's a really, really good OP. The
mhm.
song is obviously very good. All the music in this series is obviously very good.
Yeah.
Because most of it, well, no, it has some new tracks.
Yeah, I think
But
it
then
had
some of it
obviously
is game.
the opening itself has a new track, and I think one or two others might be new tracks, but it's like most of it's like solos from each girl. Unfortunately, some of the girls were recently voiced. I would say recently, it's like the past couple of years, and they didn't have I think they have not had solo like songs or whatever yet. So those
So
girls
those
got
are
like
they're
standard
getting
general songs.
solo. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it seems like some of them are also getting solos
Yeah,
though,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
as the EDs if they did not have
Yeah, yeah.
one. The most
Hmm.
recent one with Haruyuki
Yep,
getting
yep.
one. But yeah, so all of that is really, really good. The EDs are just basically like stills, which have been they've been really nice. They've been really cute.
Yeah.
But obviously, like visually, it's stills, so there's nothing really going on there as far
Mhm.
as that. But yeah, so the premise of this is kind of like the producer is a manlet. He's a short king. Um, and it's pretty much everyone at the agency. It kind of opens with like a couple of other producers at the agency discussing between themselves of just and all of them just kind of being reluctant to take on this unit and being like, I don't want to do this fucking unit. And then one of them
Yeah.
was like, wait a minute, I know a guy. And
What about this shorty? Yeah.
yeah, our short king gets a phone call, and he's a huge fan of idols, and the other producer is like, hey man, how would
By the
you
way,
like to
all of
be a
them.
producer?
By the way, all of the so he like mentions specific names, and there are a lot of references to the general like Cinderella Girls franchise as well
Yeah,
as like
yeah,
TVs and
yeah.
stuff like that. But all of the idols, like whenever somebody asks him like, "Oh, do you like idols?" or like, "Which idols do you like?" Like all the ones that he mentions, like Mifune and stuff like that, they're all like older Onesan idols, by the way, just like a
Yeah.
small, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so he basically, he gets that call. He immediately goes, "Yeah, absolutely. I would love to be a producer." And he
Mhm,
did not realize that he was going to be a producer for the group that is all like elementary schoolers.
mhm.
Um and it kind of just goes from there. So far
Mhm.
the first episode is like was a bit of a miss, like just because it was kind of pure setup. It was still
Right.
very good visually, but it wasn't like anything that crazy yet. And I think where it starts getting really good is episode 2, when it starts going into the episodic scenarios of going through like each girl and
Yeah, I
resolving
think
some
the
sort of
Addis,
issue.
yeah,
And
episode one was very standard. It was like you
yeah,
have to just introduce everything, and they
yeah,
tried to stuff it in.
yeah, it was very, and it was very, very, it suffers because of that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like pulling teeth. You have to get through it. It's like that
yeah,
episode one
it is
was worth it
definitely
for the
very
other episodes. Yeah.
necessary. Yeah, that's why like once episode 2 came out, I was like, oh okay, no, this is very good.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so it generally goes through a sort of issue that these girls are going to have in being idols, and sort of the producer stepping in to try to resolve that and
Yeah.
reinstill
Yeah.
that sort of desire of for them to be an idol to.
Kind of them trying to find sort of like so essentially, you know how
Yeah,
with Love Live with
it's between them finding sort of what their shtick is as an idol, and also sort of where their personality might rub up against being an idol and how to get around that.
yeah, if you guys have watched really any like 2D Idol, but especially like the general Idol Master series, right? Whether it's the Cinderella Girl stuff or even better the original Namuko 765 Idol Master animation by A1 Pictures, right? Um, it kind of follows essentially the same structure where it's like you have one girl, you have them being like, oh, I have my own problems, blah, blah, I have my own lore, and then they kind of wake up to become ready to become an idoru, right? That's sort of that, and like the producer is kind of showing that cheesy like idol master 2D idol, like, oh, I want everybody to be on the stage. Yay! Kind of like showing that like cheesy like 2D idol master side. And he serves as I think the entrance, the instigation for the explorations into the standard lore of each character. And then the expansion of the lore of each idols within each episode is serving to add sort of the organic part of it, right? Organic
Yeah.
part of each episode.
Yeah, and sort of, yeah, and so, he winds up working through some stuff. There is some side stuff of him sort of trying to work through dealing with being a producer and sort of the pressures of that in some ways, and because it bounces back between him and his older sister who like has a baby, and so it kind of plays off of him just what would you call it, confiding in her. What is the word? I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. Is that the
Interesting.
word?
I don't know.
I don't know. Either way, whatever. He talks to her over the phone a lot, to
Yeah.
sort of kind of figure out how to um, talk through these issues with all of the
Yeah.
idols. And so that's been really fun. I assume what is going to happen is we're going to get one episode for each idol, and then the last like episode or two is going to be kind of like the build up to the their like group performance.
Yeah, it's going to be
Um,
build up to group performance plus like a dramatic climax, and the drama is going to drama slash tension is going to mainly involve Arisu, who has been previously kind of like supporting a lot of the members and stuff like that. That's probably how it's going
yeah,
to go,
yeah.
right?
It opened up hinting at like Arisu's like deeper dramas, and then so far she's been much more of like a supporting character in that.
It's gonna be
know,
it's gonna be the standard like, oh, I have to support anybody, but like how like am I really care like when do I care for
Yeah, what do
myself,
I
right?
do?
When do I
Yeah.
like when do I
Or
get to
like
do the things I want to do?
everyone's
Yeah.
figured out now
Mhm.
their role, like where they fit
Yeah,
in, but like where
yeah.
do I fall?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so I think that's going to be that'll probably be like the second to last episode or something, and then the last episode being their
Yeah.
group performance and just
It's a pretty standard
everything around
structure,
that.
I want to say. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
and so this is also why I am considering this. This is the better Cinderella Girls anime
yeah, I
because
want to actually I want to talk
this
about
is
this a
what
lot
the
too.
original Cinderella Girls anime should have fucking done, and it should
So
have
Yeah.
Dark,
began and ended there.
who's the
Fucking
better
right.
Shibuya Rin of this group?
What a
I mean,
question.
Arisu is the Rin of the group right now because
uh
she didn't do a whole lot.
so like you brought up I don't know whether it was on purpose or not, but like you brought a very good point that I actually really wanted to get to. So it's like around episode 4, not even episode 4, like just episode yeah, episode 2. 2 was with Nina, right? It was like the first
Yes.
episodic one. Yes. Like when by the time the insert song came in, like Kimi ni Ippai, right? And then like which is Mina no Kimochi, sorry. That was Nina's solo song, and then by the time like the resolution was playing out, I like had chills down my I had a certain chill down my back because this series is I realized it's a very, very, very refined slash modern version of like what all the previous 2D idol shows had tried to sort of reach with whether it's Idol Master, like all the different stuff, the Namiko, the Cinderella girls, whether it's Love Live, whether it's
Xenogosia?
Wake,
That one?
yeah,
Yeah.
Xenoglossia too, whether it's Wake Up Girls or whether it's even smaller stuff like Selection Project or whatever. All of like the overall form is pretty much similar to all of them, but it was just like the pacing, the dialogue, the amount of info that was packed in, the way that like the emotional kind of ticks and like the hints and like the actions were like succinctly put in, and then it's like Nina cries at this moment, and then like it takes this amount to resolve, and then like they say exactly the right words, like the phrase, like to resolve it and stuff like that. It was just so machine precision. It was like well oiled. I was like seeing the culmination of all of the previous okay to kind of meh like 2D idol shows that were kind of just like, yeah, let's do stuff. Like they were all flashing before my eyes and being like condensed, ground down to make this work, which is actually good. It's like standard, but it's so precisely
Yeah,
done. It's so well oiled and eloquent.
because it's like because I mean realistically, it's like a lot of these series
Watch
should
your words.
be
Why you
that
call him
those sort
under
of
149 eloquent?
yeah,
Yeah.
it should be sort of like a lot of these series fitting into the same holes, essentially the same pegs,
Yeah.
the same sort of puzzle pieces coming together. But what this series is doing is it's got, it's kind of mastered sort of every angle.
Yeah.
Overall,
Yeah.
the producer has been great, like we've said. The way
Yeah.
the characters
I
bounce off each other, the
yeah.
bringing
And
in
the
of the
expansion. Yeah,
legacy
the way the
characters has
characters bounce
been
off each other. Oh,
very
you're
good.
right. Yeah,
The
exactly.
bringing in the old, like, well, not the old, but bringing in like the original, like the Cinderella Girls idols
The
or the
cameos,
expanded
yeah, the
cast and
references,
the
yeah,
cameos
exactly.
has been very good, and sort of the using them as a way to introduce the episode's trivia or the
Yes,
episode's sort
yes,
of overall
yes, yes.
what would you call it, the sort of like idol event that's going to happen,
The advancements of the
yeah,
story in the
The
episode.
Idol
Yes.
yeah,
Cinematic Universe.
The Idol
yeah.
Cinematic Universe.
So yeah, because it's like,
Yeah, I see you, baby.
episode 2 has the photo shoot. Episode 3
Yes.
is the girls getting into making videos and sort of that sort
live
of media
streaming,
content.
Yeah.
Episode 4, episode 4 is the sort of live TV trivia, like quiz show sort of gimmick going on there. And everything within that has been fantastic.
Yeah.
The ways like Arisu in the first episode seemed like she was going to be a very, very boring character, a very dramatic character, and she's not.
Yeah.
She kind of fits in
She's
to
chill.
yeah, she fits into almost every single group so far that's been shown off, and she bounces off like the producer very well, in sort of their back and forths. The visuals team has been absolutely killing it with facial expressions.
They have
And like
so much movement just for
very
regular actions, like walking,
yeah,
eating. Like they're just like the
very
guy
small
that was eating at the
subtleties.
restaurant or izakaya. He's just like they're doing like 60 frames animation for like him just eating. It's like what is
Yeah,
happening?
it's kind of insane like what they're doing with that. The color grading has been very good. Like there are scenes where it gets dramatic and they're like, you know what, fuck it, we're just going to completely change like the color grading of this scene because it started to get a little dramatic, and then we're going to snap it back when it stops. And that was like specifically I'm referring to a scene in episode 4, sort of like the culmination like of all of the events and
Was that Momoko's
the
stuff?
resolution.
No, it
yeah,
wasn't.
yeah,
No,
it
that was
was.
Recess.
Oh no,
Was it
that was
Momoko's or Recess?
Akagi's. That was a
Oh, it was
media
yes,
stuff.
yes.
That was during like the live stream, and it sort of
Yes.
like baits and switches you and things, and
Uh-huh.
it plays with the entire color palette of the scene in that. It does it even with Momoka's a little bit. It doesn't really. Momoka's more plays with effects, and that's awesome too. Like getting playing with like fisheye lens, playing with sound design,
Mhm.
for a scene that's really tense. I think it's just kind of been killing it in all angles in that regard. And then
Mhm.
each episode being episodic has been really nice, and most importantly, the overarching story has been very tame. It's been very reasonable. It's been very
Yes,
real,
it's organic.
right?
Yes.
The producer gets into certain like more some of it was comedic, some of it is a little bit more tense in general
Mhm.
situations with trying to essentially pull the strings behind the scenes with other producers and other like companies, um and bouncing off of that. And that's another place again where they play with the like colors of the scene and everything, which I think has been really
Yes.
cool.
Yes.
um but
I just
ultimately it is a very real approach to it, right?
yes.
It's a very natural approach to this series, which I think again the original Cinderella Girls doesn't have after like episode 5 or whatever, right?
Mhm.
Like this is what the original should have been, because there's no reason to sort of change up this formula, right? There's no, unless you I mean of course unless you do something where you focus more on one idol and
Yeah.
things like that. Obviously you could change up the formula, but what this series is doing is, you have a producer. He is going to, push for these idols, right? He's going
Yeah.
to get them work. He's going to, try and get things together to put on their first show. Whereas,
I
we could go back to Cinderella, the original Cinderella Girls, halfway through this season, or this is not going to get a second core where they introduce, some fucking psycho producer who's like, you were doing really well here, but like, what if we just like completely ruin everything you have going on?
yeah. Even the plot happenings are not like super fucked up.
Yeah, like there are a natural result of the industry, these sort of dramatic tensions that arise, or the conflicts that arise. Whereas again, in the original Cinderella Girls, for people who might not know, about halfway through the season or something, or I think it's like, did Cinderella Girls have 24 episodes, and it's like 12 episodes of, this sort of thing, and then another 12 where the new like executive comes in?
I
I don't remember too.
I don't know
Either
whether there
way,
was an
it
actual
doesn't really
change,
matter. It's about
but it
like
was
half
yeah.
and half, or like eight, or like 3/4 of the way in. All of a sudden, an executive essentially comes in and she's like, "Oh, I know how to pitch these idols, Mr. Producer Man. What if we just start breaking them up and doing weird pairings that you didn't consider? And, it starts to create tension, and the idols don't really bounce off of each other as well as the original pairings, and it's
Mhm.
all fucked up." And it literally, like, this person, they introduce a character that just comes in and is literally like, I'm gonna fuck up everything. Like, and that's my role. I'm just gonna fuck it all up. And it
Mhm.
leaves you kind of scratching your head of like, why would this even happen? Like, this
Right,
does
right.
happen, obviously. Like, this happens in the real world where executives and people come in and meddle and it fucks everything up. But that's not
Mhm.
really interesting to watch. Like, we
Yeah.
live that every day. We see it.
And
Like,
also
we
that
know.
happens that sort of railroading happens way more in anime series because it's like the special like, like happening or whatever. And so that sort of becomes a habituation or like a sort of normalization in itself where you're just like, "Oh yeah, 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 yeah." It's like this anime is just going to have this. So it's like that becomes boring in and of itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not like, it's not what you came for. Like, it's not what you're showing up for with this type of series. You can have drama in isolation in the sense of, like when in this series the producers working with other people, like all the other executives or the other like suits essentially or producers, and trying to resolve issues in that regard. Like, you can have drama there at that level, but I feel like drama within like the actual unit, or not the unit, but drama within like the company itself is
Mhm.
not something that, like, I think is good to have in a series like this, right?
And
Unless
obviously
like
again,
unless
it's
like
like a
that
lot of
is the series, right? Unless like
yeah,
the
yeah,
series is the corporate side of idols taken to
yeah.
like the full extent. Like, that is what you
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
You're not here for idols, you're here for that, right?
Yeah.
In the same way that like the like seedy side of the idol industry is what you are watching like Oshinoko for. You're not
Yeah.
watching Oshinoko for the idols. Like,
And you also have to consider the context where it's like at the end of the day, Idol Master is supposed to be a little bit more of a standard, like cheesier 2D idol, like yeah, idols kind of thing. So it's like adding too much like, oh, I'm Batman, or like, where is she? Like, like stuff like that. It's like
yeah, like
adding too much of that
adding too
is
much of like
not
a random or
it's
like
not this is not the DC
like
universe.
inter conflict. Like, we don't, yeah,
Yeah.
like we don't need like the an edgier side of this. Like, that's not what we're here
Yeah.
for.
Yeah,
We are
exactly.
literally here for the episodic idols like bouncing off the producer and each other, and
Yeah.
that's it.
And two things
Um
I think again you mentioned this in passing as well, and obviously we're discussing a little bit of it. And I think that like addition, while still being part of the standard formula, um, U149 improved upon it in such significant ways that I think those improvements alone like put it head above the other series. And one is like again obviously like as we just mentioned, sort of the organic nature of the problems, right? It's like the elaboration of like the standard lore of these people and how it's kind of formed in the series. It's like the way the dialogue is set up and the way that the characters kind of smoothly move into it, and they're like, "Oh, but I'm worried about this. Oh, but then this is like the problem, and like we're all here for you. We're idols, whatever, blah blah." And that sort of like quick problem resolution and kind of elaboration within a reasonable human context, instead of just being like, oh, I'm super omega tsundere or whatever the fuck, right? Instead of doing that, I think really helps like add that like extra bit of good spice, like that edge or human edge. And then another one is like uh, and I think even especially the older Idolmaster anime, right? The Namco Idolmaster anime is guilty of this a little bit. Is that in a lot of these series, they don't have the entire cast sort of talking with each other, even when they're in like the same room, right? And so
yeah.
it'll be one on one. It'll be like Yukio and Makoto talking with each other, or it'll be like the Idolmaster like twins, of Tommy twins talking with each other, or it'll be like Miki talking with somebody, right? Or it'll be like one or two people talking with each other at the same time, or one of the idols talking to the producer or whatever it is, right? But this has constant interactions with everybody in the cast. Like
Yeah.
everybody's just jumping and trying to talk with each other. They're in the same room, and they're naturally, they're all kids. They're all excited. They're trying to, like fucking like dogpile on top of each other. And those interactions also, like the plot of like the previous episodes also affect the, the subsequent episodes and stuff like that. And it's just very well made. Like the people in the room are talking to each other, and they're not just like, oh, producer, and that's it. Like
Yeah,
they're
and then it
actually talking to each
immediately
other.
turns into like,
Yeah.
only the producer speaking with this one idol, like this
Yeah, yeah.
one
Oh,
character.
I have a problem. It's like that. It's not just
Yeah.
that. I think that's
So yeah, I think that's been really, really good. And the other thing too is like, again, the resolutions have been very natural, have been very good. And I think there's been like some direct exposition, like there has been some not like monologuing, but again, yeah, there's been like some exposition of like explaining sort of the issue, something like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I feel like it has been way less than you would expect. There has been a lot with scenes again
It's
that
very like
work off of
subtle,
like
like
body
yeah.
language and subtleties that
Yes,
they animate
yes,
in
yes,
that
yes.
are like telling you what the issue is, like you get it, but like you don't
You know
really
also what's a
know.
big difference. You know also what's
Yeah,
a
it's
big
like,
difference.
yeah,
You
you
know
don't
that
need to hear what's going, and you also don't need to hear like what's going on in their head, like especially for
yes,
Momoka's episode,
yes.
like
There's very specific lack of
you
internal monologue.
yeah,
This is
like
important.
you do not like in Momoka's episode specifically, like you do not need to know what she's thinking with her problem because you're seeing the issue and
Yes,
you're guessing
yes,
roughly at like the producer can guess roughly like how to resolve this
yes.
regardless of
This
like
is
what the sort of underlying issue is.
yes, perfect, perfect. I couldn't
So
have phrased it better myself. It's like
I think
it's just like, oh god, because it's like if you look at like Love Live or like a bunch of other stuff, right? A lot of the other times, like they are doing like these internal monologues, which is like when you watch some of these series, you're like, okay, well that sets up for the drama. But it's like when you listen to the writers, I guess, of these idol shows, just being like relying on that internal monologue as a crutch to explore the lore, the background of these characters quickly, like just one after another, it becomes very stale.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
really did like how they did
because you don't get as unique and sort of
it. Yeah, they're
original
just telling you,
character
yeah,
interactions. You
I'm
don't
sad
get
because
yeah,
yeah.
it's like "Hey, I'm sad and this is why.
Yeah.
You don't get especially in a series with a producer.
Hmm.
I guess like Love Live can do it with the way characters bounce off each other and resolve it, in like interpersonally in that regard. But when you have a producer, especially having that not happen, sort of really enhances, I feel like, their interaction because you're not getting something that feels the same every single time
Yes, yes,
because
yes.
you're looking at him observe and then him take an action based on what he's observing rather than you having as a viewer way more knowledge and then the producer, whether they write it as if the producer somehow obtains that knowledge and has that sort of omnipresence that you have as a viewer,
Hmm.
or if they want to use it as like a pure insert,
Hmm.
um, you know, having an inconsistency doesn't help if it's an insert, right? Like if you have
Yeah.
more knowledge than the producer, that doesn't really help that much. If it's supposed to be an insert, but even beyond that, you know, it's very hard to make an interaction feel as original between episodes, especially in an episodic series, if you are consistently given, exposition, monologue, and that's either provided to the producer or not, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's
And also
provided
a
to the
lot of
producer,
those
it doesn't allow for a more original interaction, especially one that sometimes won't in this series like will resolve the issue, but
Mhm.
they purposefully made it seem organic in the sense of the producer's not nailing it every time, like
Yeah.
he's doing something that he thinks is the right, like a way to resolve this and to ease tension, and obviously you know, in an organic sense, that is not going to nail everything down, but it's going to be just enough.
Right, right. And it's just, and especially those dialogues, again, as you just mentioned, can become like, if you do the internal monologues, they end up becoming, again, very formulaic, because it's often just like, for instance, one of the idols will be at an audition and it's like, I'm too scared, what do I do? And then she'll like look to the side and there's the producer like waving at her like, you're doing your best, and then it's the whatever.
Yeah.
You'll have these like formulaic patterns of setups that you just look at them and you're just like, whatever.
Yeah,
But I'm glad that this series.
the drama in this, while we did say, you know, it is a very puzzle piece like type thing, it's perfecting a formula. While it is a formula, it is, you know, offering a different
Mhm.
different pacings to these dramas, and different dramas
Right,
per
right.
episode and per idol. So
Yeah,
yeah, and as you said, if you introduced a monologue every single time with that sort of, you know, nails down in like a bad way, sort of like pigeonholes the pacing of every episode, or the sort of resolution of every episode. And I think so far that has not been the case. You know, some
yeah.
episodes resolve their issues way later than others. Um,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
yeah, it's just been a very, very good variety.
This also kind of, I guess this couple of some of my last words on this series, but it's like, it was very nostalgic because it's been a while since I've dived into Cinderella Girls in any meaningful manner. It's nostalgic hearing and kind of seeing all the familiar like songs and like color backgrounds of the characters related to the Cinderella Girls and stuff like that. And there are also, again, as we mentioned before, a bunch of homage and like references and cameos. It's just, I don't know about Dark, but for me, like seeing like all of the Cinderella girls, like characters just pop out, and even just like they have their own conversations too. Like Shiki and like Frederica have their own conversations, like actual conversations.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
like a freaking baseball bat over my head. like,
yeah.
um,
Like getting Nana and all of that. Like
yeah,
that's
they actually
been
say stuff, and it's not just like their catchphrases or whatever. This
yeah.
is,
It is
yeah,
a very very good use of these characters. In the sense of, you know, if all of the 149 girls are the mains, when they introduce these cameos, they essentially are supporting characters rather than, you know, just like cameos.
yeah,
There have been, obviously, like there have been cameo references as well, which have been fun too, like in the backgrounds, or when the producer's like scrolling through ideas, you know, like what's her name was there, Rimu was there, like
yeah,
shit
Ryamu, and
like
then
that.
the three like main new girls for that
Yeah.
was in the recent years. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The
like
the
they
Apple
were
Girl and the
shown.
Shark Tooth Girl and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah. So like those sorts of things have been very cool.
Wow.
Um so yeah, I mean
Also,
it's one you could jump into
yeah,
without any
sure.
context. It's one that you could jump into if you've seen any of the others. Um
And it's like it really like triggers that like the Idolmaster nerd in you if you have been involved with the franchise.
yeah,
Or
it
with
is
Cinderella Girls at least.
it is a very very big breath of fresh air. I'm very happy that um
This is a
Side
series you
Games.
wanted. Or this is a
I guess I
series
could
you
say I'm very happy that Side Games Pictures exists, and Side Games has
wanted.
become so fucking wealthy that they can just do what they want and how
In-house
they
cities,
want
yeah.
it. Yeah, because it's like, even going off of, you know, not to get too sidetracked, but even going off of Uma Musume recently, it's
Yeah.
like Uma Musume as a whole is like godlike. It has been very good, and
All of the
in
Uma
similar ways
Musume
and different
original
ways.
anime delays were to make up for this, or what to build up to this. Sorry.
Yeah, it's like all of it has been very good, and it shows to me that like Cygames knows exactly what they need to do with a lot of their IP, and who they need to get. I guess as far as staff goes for this, I guess the big standout one, obviously, the director. The director is the director for, and this has been quite the portfolio was that it looked like his directorial debut was Gamers, and it's like, wow, man. But I mean, we've
But he made up
definitely
for it
gone
by
over
doing
this
Mushoku
before.
Tensei.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then the Gamers director somehow was just like, yeah, I'll just sure Mushoku Tensei, fine, why not? Like, you know, like, look, mall ratings aren't everything,
It's
right?
probably
But
got connections.
Gamers was pretty fucking mid, right?
Yeah, yeah, it
Gamers is
absolutely was.
sitting at a cool
I
6.7.
think at that point we just blame the source material and move
Yeah,
on.
but it's like Gamers is out here sitting at a 6.7. Then it's like, oh yeah, Mushoku Tensei 8.7 on mall. It's like that is a one jump between the two as far as positions goes. You know, he did some episode directing for Darling in the Franxx as you know, and he's done work in between that with storyboarding. But as far as directing, like full directing, you know, went from Gamers, Mushoku Tensei, and now U149, and
Yeah.
kind of shows. Um,
By the way, just a little bit of tangent on like the kind of like voicing and like the roles and stuff like that. This is, I don't think there's any debate. This is probably the series that has the most active like lolly roles, like named lolly roles, not just like random, background kindergartners running around, but it's like actual main lolly roles in an anime series in anime history, right? Like it has to be. It absolutely has to be, right? This is I don't think even like something like Kodomo Nichikan or like, Hanamari Youchen or like wherever, like, this has the most lollies in a single series, right? Like that's the thing.
yeah, I mean,
I don't think
probably,
any other series is beating this for a while.
which like, you know, further goes with again with the voice actresses themselves, where it's just like,
By the way,
what a collection of
yeah.
talent.
Yeah. By the way, at least half or more of the voice actresses for these characters are the same age or older than I am, by the way. And I will just let the viewers know it's been a while since I've graduated college. So it's quite something, Voice actors
Yeah,
actresses are quite talented.
a lot of 30 plus
Yeah.
VAs. So absolutely killing it.
Oh jeez.
I mean, specifically, gotta give a shout out to Misaki Kuno with voicing Nina. Like,
Now you
just
know what I mean. The
killer,
professional
really.
kindergartner. The
Yeah,
professional kindergartner.
just always killing it. Um, and yeah, just you know, this series rocks. This series
Yeah.
is very fun, very good.
Honestly, like when I heard about the series, like I was kind of just like, yeah, I mean, it's just gonna be pretty standard, like, or even worse because it's like a spinoff. It's just gonna be like worse version of like what we have for the other 2D idol stuff, whatever. But like I watched it and it was good, and I was like, we
Yeah,
need more
it's
of
like
this. We need this
it's like
series.
honestly, it's like again, it's fucked up that like I even had doubts because it's like once I was getting through Moruma Musume, I should have known. I should have been like, oh,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Psy Games
So
Productions. They know what they're fucking doing.
so I just did a little homework. Roku View has more lollies.
Rookie View,
Yeah.
really? Oh
Yeah,
fuck!
I had a sneaking suspicion and I counted. So
Okay, well,
Oh, because they have other characters that are not just like the five
yeah,
main
yeah, yeah,
cast.
yeah,
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 exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Ah,
that
fuck, you're
makes
right.
sense.
That's pretty funny. Holy shit. Okay. God.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. But what they
Rookie View
don't
is
have?
also like
You know what
full
they
on.
don't
Yeah.
have? They don't have a short
yeah.
king. They don't have a short king.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
you know,
Oh Jesus. But yeah, I hope if they do other Big Rig says that was very important information. I'll remember that. Yeah.
yeah.
Roku View and the Idol Master Cinderella Girls
Listen,
U449.
man.
Noted,
Man.
noted, for no reason
When
in
Spire
particular.
says like, I think
I
this series has the most lollies ever. I have to check that.
yeah, fact check.
I
I'm
have to
up for
fact
it.
check
Yeah.
that shit, man.
I'm not gonna be calling you out on all fake news. I'm up for being fact checked, right? I ain't no CNN, but yeah. So Rookie View, Idol Master, Cinderella Girls following close behind.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you want lollies, just bucket loads of them, just like elementary school fulls of them. But
Yeah.
all kidding aside, I do really hope that other Idolmaster spin-offs, and they probably are coming, like with the older like girls or whatever, right? Stuff like that. I really hope that they're of this format because this was just such a good example of like what 2D idol series can be.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very excited to see what else Cygames does for this. Yeah, again, I think they've nailed it. I think they know what they're doing at this point with this stuff. And yeah, I mean, I think in general you kind of saw like once Cygame pictures like became more of a thing, like shit just kind of popped off because even think about what do you call it? The Grand Blue stuff. Like the Grand Blue the Grand Blue animes compared to like pre-Kone. Right? Like Grand Blue is
Yeah, I know what you're
A1
talking
and
about. Yes,
then
yes.
I forget who did season 2 and it's like it's whack. It's super whack.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
just like not at all what it should be. And
Mhm.
then Cygame's like, whatever, we'll just do it ourselves. And then so far it's been I don't know, I haven't had an issue. I've thought it's been great. Pre-Kone has been killer. Fucking Uma Musume has been incredible, and then now this has been just insane. How like the quality here.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. I definitely couldn't have said it better myself. Any last words on the series? And what would you
Um,
rate it?
I mean, I would honestly rate this a fucking 10. Like it's
It's
it
it's
has
so
nothing.
polished.
It leaves me nothing to be desired. Like the interactions.
Except trying to avoid conflicts with the police. You mean except trying to
Yeah,
be
I
on
mean,
the
I
run from the
listen.
police.
We're used to it by now, so just another
Who's
day,
we?
just
Who's
another
we?
Tuesday.
Who's we?
Yeah, Nier is already out of this podcast. He is no longer a member.
No
He's
thanks,
You
over
know,
here.
bro. I
You must be
prefer
speaking
shiny colors.
French.
yeah. Nier's like, who's this fellow again
You
speaking?
speaking
Like, what
French?
the
You
fuck?
speaking French, my friend? We what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
Let it be on the
yeah,
record that
it's
I prefer shiny colors, not whatever this
Oh
is.
yeah, the high school girls proper. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah,
So I mean, this series overall, like this series is cute as fuck. Um, the only sussy character is Risa, obviously,
They're all
but
are all pretty sus, my dude.
then now Risa is the only sussy one. You'll know if you watch it.
Jesus.
But even her episode was fun. It was cute.
Yeah.
Is she the one that's
Yeah,
like
it's
6?
extremely cute.
Which one was the one that was like 6 years old?
That's probably like
They're all-
Nina, to be honest.
yeah, the youngest one is probably Nina or
Yeah,
like
I
Harada
think
or something. Yeah.
Nina's the youngest, which again is also like just there's so many details in the episode. Like
This
fuck,
episode was so
Nina's
good.
episode was
Fuck.
so good because it's like Nina gets
It was so good.
like Nina gets sad and then literally every character is like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
Like
Oh
we
fuck.
hold up, we fucked up. Like everyone gets guilt tripped. Which was a really funny detail. But yeah, just in general, series is super cute, super fun. Definitely worth a shot whether or not you're like a fan of Idolmaster.
Yeah.
Because again, like regardless, like the directing, the animations, the visuals, like everything about it has been just fucking killer.
Yeah. By the way, again, you don't need to know anything about Idolmaster to get into this series
No,
beforehand.
you
You
don't
just
need to
need
know
to,
anything. It just
yeah.
helps if you do. Like
If you're
it's
okay
nice
with
if you
2D
do.
idol shows, yeah, then you should be okay with this.
I'm gonna be honest with you, even if you're like don't give a shit about TD idol shows and you just kind of want like a episodic, almost like what could be akin to a almost slice of life type ordeal in some ways. Like I even think that like this kind of falls under that sort of jurisdiction at that point.
Yeah. Anyways, again, thank you so much. I know Dark and I went quite otaku on there a little bit on the Idol Cinderella Girls, but it is a franchise near and dear to our hearts, and it was a good series. It was a very surprising good series. So we did kind of go into quite a bit of detail on it, but it is a again Idolmaster Cinderella Girls U149. It is a spin-off of the overall Idolmaster Cinderella Girls franchise, which obviously has its own multimedia franchise, including its own anime, main Girls anime. Um, this is one of the first sort of main picture, or sorry, this is one of the anime series directly being made by Cygames Pictures, of course, who also does hold not licensing, but holds the rights to create the games Idolmaster Cinderella Girls, as well as the Starlight Stage, as well as the original mobile game, the Mobomasu or Idolmaster Cinderella Girls mobile game. So they have the rights to actually license and like produce and make those as well, working together, of course, with Bandai Namco. So that again, if you do like 2D idol shows, or even if you're a little bit turned away by 2D idol shows because of their mediocrity, maybe do check this out. It's a pretty good ride for what it is. Obviously, lollies, beware. Don't watch this in your workspace or anything like that. But it's
Yeah,
all
you
very good.
have to run Google Incognito mode.
You
You will
must
never
not
be
have this in your
found.
history for more than 1 hour.
They
The
can't.
FBI
They
will be on
can't.
your
Yeah,
ass.
they can't find you if you're in Google Incognito.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that.
But yeah, please do check this out if you're into idol shows, stuff like that.